I'm about to start painting. If you look at the video I did about the gesture drawing, I'm drawing the younger Sunflower, which has his head perked up. I'm not sure where I want to reiterate, I don't know where I'm going with this. I just know I have a sunflower here in my hand and I'm going to paint it. I don't know whether I'm going to do the bottle. I don't know how many leaves I'm going to do. Starting out on any project with your mind already made up is one step toward death. In my opinion, I think that the whole thing should be a discovery process. And if it is a discovery process, what you create is going to have the spirit of a liveliness as opposed to a death knell. Okay, I'm working on small paper because I have not resolved my tiny studio situation yet. I may never in this lifetime. But anyway, so what I'm going to do, I'm looking at these pencils. Of course, I can't find a number anywhere. That's an F. That's good enough. 2H. That's good. 2H. F. Okay. This paper's too small for me. I need something about the size of a garage door to really do this and let my spirit flow. And my spirit wants to flow beyond its little area. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make another little gesture drawing, very light, with pencil before I even start this thing. So that I will know kind of where I'll set some boundaries. And guess what? If you're gonna, I've already said, you don't erase watercolor. If you don't like your boundaries, you need to learn to live with them. Okay, or else start over. That's the only thing you can do. So anyway, I'm trying to prevent some heartache down the road. This side of the flower is mostly leaf. Now up there he goes into leaf mode. Okay, it's going to run off the paper, so I'm going to actually kind of vignette that thing off the paper. I'm not going to draw every little thing of that. Now, what am I going to do about these pencil marks? Nothing. Art to me is not a product, it's a process. And I don't mind that you see, in fact, I invite you to discover through my art what my process, because that's the important part. You know something, I used to teach, I taught children all my life, but I taught some adults one time. They would come to my house and they always laughed. They said, in fact, I don't think they were really kidding. They would say that they just wanted to come and pick up the art off my floor, because after I create it, it's over. I really don't care. Now, I'm not going to give it away. I'm not going to cheapen myself to that extent. If you buy my art, you're going to pay for it. But it's not really valuable to me anymore. It's not. I don't worship my product. I worship my product. I don't worship anything in art, but the process is much more important than the product. So right now I have a pretty decent little sketch of where I'm going, and you're going to see those pencil marks. Unless I erased them right now, you will see them. This guy, the way I've painted it, it's coming off too far to that side to fill the frame. So I'm either going to have to do something else or crop the painting down, crop the frame down. But anyway, so that's, in fact, I'm going to go real quickly and I'm going to put the little bit of the bottle in here because I think that's going to help a little bit. Okay, so there we have it. There we have a loose sketch. I'm going to erase out just a few of these marks because I don't want every mark in the whole world to show, not especially if it's a wrong mark. And that's why I do the gesture drawing, so I can make as many wrong marks. Through my gesture drawing, I discover what's there. And I'm going to keep saying that over and over again. In fact, that's going to be the theme for today. Yesterday was the theme, and the day before that was mistakes. Well, we're moving on. Hopefully we won't have as many mistakes. We may. If we do, we just will deal with it. But one way to prevent making mistakes is not to have any preconceived notion about what you're going to create. Let it go, let it flow, and see what comes of it. And that's probably what you needed to create that day. Okay, there we go. I have that there. I've kind of erased it back a little bit. Now, I've already talked about this today. But sunflowers are a yellowish orangish color. The leaves, the yellow in a leaf is a lemon yellow. So I use cadmium yellow, medium, cadmium yellow, orange, cadmium yellow, lemon. Mostly what this is going to be. I guarantee you I will come in here with some other colors. Oh, some blue to make the green of the leaves. Okay, all right. So let's just go with it. And I don't even know what colors I'm going to use yet. I'll figure that out as I go. Okay, here we go. Let me get a paper towel in my hand. A brush. I'm using again this Princeton number 14 long round. See that little point on that guy? He's a good little brush. He has a point, so he can make a finer mark, but he's not. He's gonna keep me from just like I'm gonna have to be so tight. In fact, people, when I'm in my zone, when I really get started painting, people will ask me, why are you so loose? Now, how did you stay so loose? And a lot of it's the brush. Okay, I'm going to try not to talk so much today. I've been ruining my paintings by talking too much. Well, I will say this. If you'll see what I'm doing, this is just a gesture. I'm just I'm going back over the lines I made for myself, but I'm gesturing. I'm not painting a fence. I'm doing a gesture drawing. I'm discovering this flower. Although I've studied it all morning to get today, so I should pretty much know where I'm going. So that's the first step. That's the lemon yellow. And then I'm not going to even put any more else there because I'll paint with wet paint. And if I keep adding more and more, it's all going to bleed into this everlasting no. And I really don't want that. Okay, so but I will put, just to give you an idea, I will just try to give you some idea where I'm going. This is lemon yellow, cadmium yellow lemon. It is the way I start almost every leaf that I make, probably every leaf. I'm not really trying. Do you see that I'm painting around? That's negative paint. I'm painting around, trying to avoid that yellow, but I'm suggesting some of this lemon yellow right now. But I'm not. If I touch my brush and my paint and my water with touch the orange with the lemon, guess what? They're all going to be one big mud puddle. So that's all I'm going to do right now, and I'm going to let it dry. Don't go on. This is not, you got the biggest, and I've said this before, the most difficult part of a watercolor is waiting. So we gotta wait. And I don't want everything to bleed down into the floor, so I keep my paintings flat as long as I can, and I let them dry naturally for a good long while, most of the time, because when you put the dryer on, it starts blowing drips here and there, and I don't want that. Okay, I'm about to go into some blues because I'm going to paint a little bit of background behind the leaves before I go any further. Just a little bit, just a suggestion, because back to front at this point. And so I've already said this, but blue and orange makes brown, and I don't want brown. I want this to be pretty and clear. Blue and lemon yellow do not make brown. That's why I put the lemon yellow on here first. So a lot of this day is determined by what paints I can find. I'm uncovering and unpacking. So I'm going to start. The light is coming from, actually from above, primarily from above on this. So this is cobalt blue. I'm just gonna start washing in a little bit of cobalt blue underneath, because that's where the shadow is. In fact, that's where the shadow is in the bottle. There's shadow right there. Now, cobalt blue has a little bit of purple in it, and so that's actually making a pretty green right there, so we're okay. So what we're going to have to do is, I'm going to put this cobalt blue in here. I did get clean water. I rinsed my brush, and I wiped my brush. And I'm just washing it. Oh my gosh. Be sure you have your paper towels, because that would have been a mess. It would have been a horrible mess if I wasn't ready to pick that up. So this part of this leaf is very dark, because it's the leaf flips up here and inside there. Okay, but I'm really not doing the leaves right now. I'm doing just a hint of blue in the shadows. Okay, so guess what? If the shadows below, guess what's above? Light. I usually have 2 containers of water at least, sometimes 3, so that I can just do this without having to go clean my brush, because there's nothing, I don't like to be interrupted, but at the same time, I'm going to flash a little bit of light. I'm going to use lemon yellow from above, just a little bit. We don't want to forget where our leaves are and lose track of them. But I'm just making a suggestion of a background here. So it's not totally, and it's going to be dry very lightly, which I'm about to start another drying process. Well, guess what the theme of today is? Dry it before you move forward. So anyway, I'm going to use my brush and some water to kind of fuse this into the everlasting no, and I'm going to stop and let it dry again. But guess what? I'm making progress on clearing out a place to make a little bit bigger studio space. So that's what I've done now. I'm washing a tiny bit of background. Okay, time for some green. I'm going to go from this cadmium lemon to this leaf green. The next color is going to be Viridian green, and because I don't have any phthalo blue, I'm going to use Prussian blue. I think I would normally go to phthalo blue, but I'm going to have to go to Prussian, because I don't have. I need to make a big order of paints. Okay, let's see what we got. All right, let me look at it. Looking for the lightest places. It's not a colored book, so you don't have to, every time you put a color on, you don't have to color everything you see. It's not in fact, I was terrible at coloring. All the other little girls could make the little smooth, pretty lines, and I was like, holy cow, man, let's get this thing going, and I would just ruin it. So anyway, that is the leaf, that is lemon yellow. Now I'm gonna start swerving in. All right, let me say something. The way my brush, I paint a flower because my brush is moving with the flower. That's very important. I'm not Tom Sawyer, and I'm not painting a fence. And because that's not my job. I don't want to paint a fence. So I actually let my brush paint in the direction that I feel the thing is growing. I used to tell my students, how does the grass grow? It grows up from the ground. Don't show me a sheet of a cookie tray going across there. That's not the way the grass grows. Grow, make your painting grow, and actually, I one thing I want to do is read Vincent Van Gogh, the letters to Theo, because Vincent Van Gogh is one of my favorite artists. He was the master at letting his brush strokes grow. Okay, so what we have is this coming down. Now the bottle is not as bright as it's more of an olive green, and I'm not sure whether I'll do that or not, but I may. Okay, so I have those two. Now I'm going to go to Viridian green. If you look at that, that's a blue green. So already I need to watch out for that orange. Because, well, actually I did before, because the orange, the blue in this color, and the orange will make nastiness, but so will the red and the orange mixed with green. So you have to be careful. And that, like I said, I'm going to send you, I'm going to attach a blog post that talks about this. Viridian a little bit goes a long way with me. It's too much like Merry Christmas, but I'm going to see what I can. I just don't have any paints with me right now. Got to get it loaded, and that's going to take forever. I'll probably be tired of painting by then again. But anyway, we're going to try it, because I've determined that this time I'm painting through it. Don't forget the little guys that come out here. Okay, let me go over here to some Prussian blue. All right, right here. You know, and another thing, I have not been a good steward, and I have not kept these things by paint. I like to paint with paint. I don't like to paint with a stump. That's why I don't really like to paint with half pans or quarter pans, because they become stumps. All right, right back here. This one right back here is just almost all shade. So let's see what we got here. It comes down like that. the light's coming from above and the light hits the petal, but underneath the leaf, the backside of the leaf is dark because the light isn't hitting it. You need to kind of understand the principle of shade and what causes shade. The light causes the shade, and and there again we go on my dark and light themes again. Okay, I'm about to quit for this layer, and I actually am gonna quit for this layer. I think I will do one thing, because there is so much shade down here. I'm gonna go ahead and bring this blue in the background. It's not what I see there, but because I've studied color all my life, I know that's what's happening. What I see is a brown drawing board. But I don't want brown in this painting. I don't have to have brown, do I? Okay, some of the color's doing its own thing. Now I can go in there with my paper. This is when the Q-tips and the paper towels come into their own glory, because I can control some of this movement with a paper towel, like stopping the drip, stop the steal. But actually, I'm gonna draw into this, so I'm not too worried about the fact that this thing is just running here and there and yonder. I'm gonna let it dry naturally. Notice I've let a lot. I have the biggest whites are in the bottle, so I've let that stay there. This one is. If your watercolor one is pooling too much and you see danger ahead, take a perfectly clean paper towel and ease up to it. Don't scrub it. You're not cleaning the kitchen floor. Ease up to it and let your paper towel absorb some of that excess color. You don't even have to touch it, but just barely. In fact, I don't want you to touch it, but just barely. I'm not scrubbing it, I'm touching it. Big difference. Okay, that's all I'm doing right now. I'll be back. Gotta let that dry. I've said this several times, but this is the darkest before the dawn. Oh my gosh, I just dropped some. Okay, who cares? Okay, got a little red there, but that's okay. Get ready to put more. All right, now, this is a yellow sunflower. It's not a red sunflower, but cadmium red light, but it does have orange in the darkness. Cadmium red light is really a dark orange. That's cadmium orange, that's cadmium red light, which is a darker orange. All right, now this brush I've talked about. This was kind of mad because I met it myself, not at the brush, but myself, because I've abused it and it doesn't have a good. It has a disease. But anyway, this is a micro mini 20-aught made by Creative Mark, and it is just it's a dance along, skitter along, and I'm going to show you what I've done is I've put quite a bit of water in both my orange and, because now what I'm doing is I'm making a kind of an ink, and I'm going to draw back into that. Do you see that? See that? How I'm going to draw. But it needs to be pretty wet, but it still needs to have some paint in it. Okay, if you hit a water spot, it's going to do just like it would otherwise. But anyway, this is nice and, no, it's not. It's just a dry, wet place right there. Let me dry again. Gotta dry. In fact, I see some blooms, and I'm going to, that's that blossomy thing that happens if you weren't perfectly dry, which I must not have been before. It will backtrack kind of. Okay, let's go. My paper towel to help dry, and I kind of watch some of that backtrack, that blossom out of there. Okay, now, can you hear me? Probably not. Let's see. I'm going to be working up, I'm going to be working up in the orange part first, so hopefully this other will be dry. If not, I may have to stop and dry. But here we go. What I'm going to do, and now if I can find the brush again, there it is. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work from forward to back. Let me say what's eating Gilbert grape. The background is heavier than the foreground. Your background or middle ground, whatever, is supposed to stay behind emotionally. I let that happen on purpose because I knew I was going to come draw into it, and I'm going to. But normally you don't want your background, or you want your foreground to be the most important. Okay, let me see if I can see what I'm doing here. Okay, right here. I'm right here. Now I'm just doing gesture drawing. Now, when I've said this before, what I've been working on is trying to get my pixie back. When I bring out this brush, it's my pixie. It's where my pixie talks. Do you see how that's